edition of Talking Bollocks on HMR. I'm me and this is him.
Excellent.
The
So we're going to do 4 films.
Yep, just about, yeah.
Some recent releases, some not quite recent releases, some that we haven't reviewed before, and some sort of newish sort of films, really.
Yeah, we just basically came up with something off the top of our heads and we thought we'd go with it.
It works well.
Yeah, well, it usually does, yeah.
Yeah.
So, first on the list is, we'll start with the more recent one. Should be,
Edge of Tomorrow, that'll be mine.
Yep.
Edge of Tomorrow is a film we'll probably go into more depth with a full review, but I'll give you my sort of part review now. It's a Tom Cruise film. Tom Cruise being Tom Cruise again, I think it seems to be a genre in his own self, really, the Tom Cruise genre.
He's starting to do a lot more sci-fi things now.
He is, yeah. Went to see this recently, was pleasantly surprised about it, quite liked it. Just to let you know that probably these will all contain spoilers, I would think.
Yes, spoilers.
So basically it's a Groundhog Day sci-fi style interesting film. There was a part of the film when I watched them, to me, were just taken straight out of other films. So for example, you've got obviously the Groundhog Day principle where something happens and he repeats the same day over and over again. He manages to get further away, so really the principle is that he goes back to the point where he starts when he dies. So if he can hold off from dying, he can go further in time and, days and weeks and so on. There's the implementation of some woman with a massive sword, which I quite like, but it was a bit Final Fantasy, bit of a rip. There was also this nasty aliens that have come from somewhere that was all a bit confusing, and they look just like the squids from the Matrix.
Yeah. Squiddies.
There was something else as well which I remembered that sort of was taken from another film, but I can't remember what that is now. The guns. The guns were sound effects from Aliens, and which actor was it? Sorry, I've forgotten his name now. Doctor?
Oh, that's good.
Tom Cruise.
Oh, Bill Paxton.
Yeah, he's now been promoted
I haven't even seen the
to
film.
Master Sergeant. I like that because you had the sounds of Aliens, so it sounded a bit like Aliens, and he's risen in the ranks and he plays a very good role. And for his point, I really enjoyed his role for what he was playing. I saw it in 3D. I'm mostly against 3D. I'm not a massive fan of it. And it was, like, the lasting impression of it was that it was made for 3D in certain aspects, but it was a film that was a 2D film that had 3D bits chucked into it, so you would get sections where stuff would hit the screen, and to me it just wasn't necessary. You didn't need it to be there, and it didn't add anything to the film, and in fact it made it feel a bit tacky to me. The other thing as well, which is possibly just a personal choice for myself, that made the film a bit tacky, was that it was basically a Normandy D-Day landing. It took place in France somewhere, where it was blatantly just Normandy, and it happened on the when I saw it anyway, the actual anniversary of the D-Day landing.
Yeah, it was just a few days ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I found that a bit in bad taste, if I'm perfectly honest. I mean, the film itself wasn't bad, and the way that they did it wasn't bad, but it was blatant. That was what they were trying to get, and it was maybe trying to be a homage to the people who died there. I just didn't like it. Wasn't a fan with that. And I'll not go in more about the film, but what I will say is there is a Hollywood style, almost Disney style happy ending, and I'm sorry, but I don't like films that end like that. If a film has to be dramatic, it ends on the way that life would end, and it just doesn't. But all in all, it's not a bad film. They were my bad points. There were a lot of good points. The special effects and the graphics, very, very good. The acting on the whole is very good. I would probably give it a good 7, maybe even an 8. So, worth seeing. But like I say, we'll probably go into that more. But it kind of runs on to another film that you wanted to do, innit?
Yeah, recently I saw it once and I was very drunk and very tired, so I had to watch it again. Saw Oblivion, which it's a year or two old now. Again, it's a sci-fi film starring Tom Cruise. Just starting his new favourite genre, I think, in which it's a sort of post-apocalyptic world following an alien war, and all the population of Earth has migrated away, and there's this big satellite like control base orbiting the Earth that they call the TET, and this is where Tom Cruise and I can't remember who the lead woman is. She's from Jarrow. But Tom Cruise and this woman from Jarrow are tasked with just basically surveying the Earth. They go out on patrols, make sure that all the automated systems are working. There's drones that go around patrolling like the
like
areas.
janitors, really.
Yeah, and they're like waiting until the time's up. I think they've got 2 weeks in, and they're like, right, we're going to go home, which
2
is
weeks before my time.
yeah, and like they're based on Saturn or something now, supposedly, and it's like right,
human race.
Yeah, and we're gonna go away, and everything's gonna be fine. So it starts off quite slowly when it's following Tom Cruise, and he's got this little futuristic helicopter thing that he pilots around and goes, and then he'll land and he'll get his gun out, and
He lands in a baseball place, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Is
it American football?
Something like that. It's some American sport anyway.
Yeah, and because he likes the history of the world and everything, and he's like getting all nostalgic while he's supposed to be focusing on his job. But that's
just Tom Cruise for you,
yeah,
isn't it? Bikes,
and he has to be reminded all the time that he's supposed to be doing his job and all that, and that's like the main basis of the film, because there's a lot of things that have to be discovered and all shit breaks loose, and they're not there for the purpose that they thought they would, and they're being attacked by these scavenger aliens, and it's sort of like I don't know, it's like a sort of very futuristic sort of almost Mad Max type thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, also worth noting at one point, Tom Cruise realises that he's in a Tom Cruise film, and so he pulls out a motorbike and has a good ride around.
Yeah. Part of the Tom Cruise genre going on there.
Yeah. You ride a motorbike, you fly something, everything's good. It does have a few twists. A few big ones. You might see them coming, you might not. There's some good appearances by Morgan Freeman and Nikolai Walder Costa, whatever his name is, Jamie Lannister from Game of Thrones. And yeah, there's some good action in it, but it takes a while to get going, I think. But even in the slow sections, I quite liked it because I like the style of it. There's a very clean technological future mixed with a ruined Earth and all that.
Wardrobe and special effects were very good in that
yes,
film. I like them.
There's a lot of white, and as it goes on, you see he gets dirtier and darker.
It's almost going back to the time of old school American cowboy films where the good guy was in white and the bad guy was in black.
The black hat and the white hat.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it did strike me that, to be honest. But then as you say,
it switches over.
Yeah,
and,
it was good
because twists.
Mm-hmm.
We said there was going to be spoilers, and here's me trying to avoid them. So I haven't really said much what happens in the film because I'm trying to avoid spoilers. But it is. I quite liked it. Were you sort of about it?
It was good. Again, it's one of those films where I felt like the acting was very good, the wardrobe was very good, the special effects were very good, and the story itself wasn't rubbish, but I just didn't feel like it was knitted together.
I was going to say that the pace feels a bit off.
Yeah, it's a bit disjointed, but you can see exactly where they were going with it, and you really can, and you can see, like, to my mind anyway, there was a director who said, "This is what I want, this is how I'm going to get it," and he just fell short of what he wanted, but it was good.
Also, I like the soundtrack, which caused us to look it up, and I think it's actually the same guy who directed Tron. Mm-hmm. And so he got for the Tron Legacy soundtrack, he had Daft Punk come in to do the soundtrack, helped by some composer who I forget the name of. But in this one, it was M83. Is that the name? M83 did the soundtrack with the same help from this person, and it really works. It's like an electronic like orchestral
It
sound.
fits, like, doesn't it?
Yeah,
It does fit.
fits the feel of the film.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd give it a 7. Like it's not quite full action. Or what the hell was that? It's not constant action or.
I don't think it ever claims to be though, does it? It's
It's not like a massive. Well, it does have drama, but it's not overly like dramatic and. You know.
Do you think Tom Cruise has done any epically good films recently in the last maybe 10 years? I mean, he's a good actor. Don't get me wrong.
I can't think of anything off the top of my head, and I'm just. I can think of 2 Tom Cruise films off the top of my head, and they're like 20 years old.
Are you talking Mission Impossible and?
No, I was thinking about Top Gun and Interview with the Vampire.
Yeah, they were very good films in their own way, but then he's done other stuff. He's done like Night and Day. What the fuck was that all about? Yeah.
Jack Reacher.
Jack Reacher. Like he's done nothing that was epically shit, but I don't feel like he's lived up to his ability. Do you know what I mean? He's had good. I mean, I know he's had position where he's written and he's directed and he's produced and things like that. He's had credit with all of those things, and all of his films were good, but I just didn't feel like they were as good as he possibly could have been if he'd either aimed at being an actor or aimed at being a director, or I think he was just maybe spreading himself too thin across the films.
He's quite short as well.
That's.
I had to mention it because everyone has to mention it.
I know, but like I'm quite short and I'm taller than Tom Cruise, which gives me hope. Anyway.
Yeah.
What do you want?
So yeah, it's a good film. I like it.
I'll just throw this out there. Hello, by the way. Minority Report.
I forgot about that.
Minority Report,
which is extremely good at the time because it was like.
It was revolutionary.
Was that 2001?
First sci-fi thing.
Yeah, revolutionary.
2002.
2002.
Yeah.
So Minority Report was by Philip K. Dick, wasn't it? He wrote that.
Yes.
That was his book.
Yeah.
But then there's nothing he's done that was wrong, like bad. Yeah. All of his books were epic.
Android's Dream, Electric Sheep.
Yeah.
He's also done 46 movies. Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise has done a lot of movies, and some of them very good, some of them a bit shit. But I just don't. He's got a lot of bad press in Hollywood. You always hear bad stuff about Tom Cruise. He does this, he doesn't do that. He's a good actor. He's just perhaps not quite got the breaks that he had when he first started his career. I think. Anyway, gotta move on from that. Do you want to do your second film, and I'll do my last?
Right. I can't even remember what your other one was. Staying on the sci-fi thing. This is possibly, along with Rush, my favourite film of last year, Pacific Rim. What?
No, it was a good film. You're right. I remember you telling me how good it was.
Well, stop laughing about it.
Yeah, right, okay.
Have you not seen it, like?
Yeah, of course I haven't sat watched it with you.
Yeah, if you don't know, Pacific Rim is sci-fi about Earth being under attack by giant monsters that come out of the sea, come out from a portal from the bottom of the sea, and in order to effectively combat them, mankind pulls together all the resources and builds giant robots to have big fights with them. This is by Guillermo del Toro, however you say his name, and this is his tribute film to all the anime he used to watch when he was little, like Gundam, Neon Genesis, all that type of thing.
He made a big thing about the fact that it was different to everything.
It's the same idea, but it doesn't. It's not completely based off one thing. It takes elements of them, but it doesn't exactly copy.
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't quite copy one thing.
Nothing direct.
Yeah, it's
except it kind of is.
Yeah, it's just like influence. Yeah, well, you can say there's a lot of one at a time. All these big monsters come that they have to get fought off, and then Neon Genesis, one after another, these big monsters come and you have to get fought off. Anyway, so yeah, you've got. Visually, it's really, really impressive, especially in high definition. Mm-hmm. You've got massive detail on these massive monsters and robots, that have these big epic fights, like in the sea or on land, smashing things up, smashing each other up, ripping each other apart.
CGI was amazing.
It was, yeah. And then you've got performances from Charlie Hunnam and Idris Elba.
Charlie Hunnam's in a film that's coming out shortly, isn't he?
Probably. His career's on the rise,
It
so
certainly is.
I'd assume so.
And I've got to say this because I'm off screen. Max Martini. I've
Yes.
mentioned his name shitloads.
Yes, Max Martini's also in it. He's the dad, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's part of. He's one of the pilots, the Jaeger pilots. That's what the robots are called. Plays an Australian who acts a bit like an Australian, really.
He's Australian.
Yeah. But yeah, the what was I talking about? You got Charlie Hunnam, who you might know from Sons of Anarchy, maybe even Green Street. My mind's gone a bit blank. He does a pretty good performance. It's just basically, if you've seen Sons of Anarchy, it's the exact same character. He likes to strut around the place.
Yeah.
But
He's got the big Jack strut going on, hasn't he?
You got Idris Elba, who is the commander, who like does a good job of being like a calm.
American commander.
He's not. He's British.
I know, but that's what his role is, though, isn't it?
No, he's British.
No, I mean the way that he's written, the role's written.
No, he's British.
I know he's British.
And the character's British.
I know he's British.
Why are you saying American?
Because that's who wrote it.
No, he's not. He's Mexican, isn't he?
Well, American area. You know what I mean.
No, I don't.
Anyway.
Yeah. So the film isn't completely all out action all the time. Like, you can break the big action fight scenes into like only 3 scenes really. But it does a good job of like introducing all the teams and like the different robots and the different monsters that like appear. And people go on about the film like it having a stupid story and it being like dumb film, but I didn't really find it that bad. I mean, it's just really enjoyable. Good effects, like
Well put together.
yeah, like let's say the action, it's like spaced out. It's like basically one at the start, one in the middle, one at the end, bits in between. And you don't notice. For some reason, you don't seem to notice the fact that there's like a lull in the action because, you know,
the story's written well.
Yeah, because the story just pulls it like along, and I didn't really think it was that stupid.
I understand people's perspective in that, in the sense that if you look at the overview of the film, it's big robots fighting big monsters.
Yeah, it does sound stupid. Like I say, it's very cartoony.
But it never claims to be anything else.
No.
That's what it claims to be. It claims to be a film about humanity fighting monsters with robots.
Yeah.
You get exactly what you pay for. Do you know what I mean? It's a Ron Sale film.
And it's awesome.
Yeah, it is pretty good.
So I'd probably give that a 9 because I absolutely loved it, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. My rating probably wouldn't be a 9, but it wouldn't be far off.
Well, it was one of the first things that I got in Blu-ray. In fact, it was the first thing I got in Blu-ray.
Mine was Tron. Yeah. Anyway. So my second film would be another one that I would probably give a 9 to. It's The Raid 2, which is obviously the second film in the series. I have to admit I hadn't actually seen the first film when I went to see the second film, which makes the beginning of the second film a little bit confusing because it carries on straight from the end of the first film, and
It doesn't really expect you to...
No, it doesn't. It's The Raid 2 is a foreign film. It's not American or British based. It's a Korean film, I think, or Indonesian possibly. And
Korean.
Is it Korean? Yeah.
I'm getting help over there.
Yeah.
It's Korean. It's Korean, yeah.
It's Korean.
It's a film that is an Asian film, and it follows the Asian principle of like the Japanese films, Chinese films, and that idea, in the sense that if you don't know, it ain't going to tell you.
Yeah,
So
you have to
you have to make a bit of effort.
yeah
to watch
you
those films.
expect it to put things together.
Yeah.
I think.
So beginning of the second film, you've got your main guy, you've got another guy who's head of basically an internal affairs system, and another cop who is actually a dirty cop who the main guy in the first film has managed to get to a certain position, and the guy in charge of internal affairs shoots him, and I was just like, what the fuck's going on? I didn't have a clue. It sort of comes together, and it uses a principle that's been used many times in Hollywood and other places of films, in the sense that there's a corrupt police force, and there's two rival families who are battling for the ability to run a city, basically. And the guy who's internal affairs wants to get rid of the corrupt cops, which will in turn bring down the families. Great principle. So he puts this guy undercover, and it all kind of goes to shit, really. And if I'm perfectly honest, that's the main story of the film. I got about 3/4 of the way through the film, and then suddenly thought, the main story. We didn't really hear much about that. Because it sort of goes off on one. But to me, that's more realistic than a film that sticks to the script. Because you kind of get about 3/4 of the way through, and he goes, well, I've got information on, this family who's done this, and this family who's done that. And the guy who's running, who's the only person who knows he's undercover, is sort of going, well, you haven't got anything on the cops that are, the dirty cops, so you have to stay. And it's kind of all gone a bit to shit. And I'll not really spoil the end, because in my opinion, the Asian films have a better ending than the Hollywood films, and it's different. Fight scenes, car chase scenes, story is epic. And it's on a level that I've not seen in a long time. It's so realistic that I've just found myself in the cinema going, wow, this is amazing.
There's knife fights in...
There's knife fights, there's bare fist fighting, there's fighting with a baseball bat, which I'm not necessarily a fan of fighting with a baseball bat, but the actual scene was filmed, I loved it. There's a little bit where, something happens and he ends up, this guy with a baseball bat, he's got a metal baseball bat, and they're basically taking out this other family, taking out main characters of the two main families, and you see like snippets of this guy with a baseball bat, this one with two claw hammers, guy with two little blades, and they just taking these people out in the most gruesome way. But the baseball bat bit really struck a chord with me, because he's walking up the street, in this main street, and you can hear the bat like scraping across the floor, and the sound effect is perfect. And he's got a certain amount of grace with his bat. It's like a proper old school martial arts film with a baseball bat. And and I have to admit, like, the scene straight after that is a scene with a woman who it turns out is deaf, and she's got two claw hammers, and they are in a train, and she batters the fuck out of these people. And I have to admit, I was sat there thinking, really? Does it really need to be this violent? But yeah, it does. That's basically the way that it goes. Extreme violence, and I don't think there's any punches held. You see everything, but it works. The violence isn't too over the top, it's just extreme. So it's like an old boy style of violence. It just works and it fits. There is a car chase scene which to me was different to normal car chase scenes, as in the bit in the car chase scene, you've got your main guy sat in the middle of the back seats, you've got two bodyguards maybe of the family, and then you've got a driver and a guy in the passenger seat. And obviously the whole film is in Korean, which is subtitled, which I love. I don't like dub films. I only really want to be watching the actual original audio with subtitles. So anyway, they're talking away, this guy's bruised and he's battered and he's cut and he's bleeding, and his phone rings, and it's his mate who's in another car chasing them. So they're having this little to and fro, I'm taking your phone, this guy takes it, hangs up, puts it in his pocket, you're not getting away from this one, Sonny Jim sort of idea. And the way that the camera's set, you can see the two guys in the front, three in the back, and out of the back window, and there's traffic, cars, trucks, and this car, you can see it getting closer and closer and closer, and then it drives into the back of the car. And I have to be honest, I think they've probably done it properly.
Through like a public street.
I reckon so. So it was epic the way that bit was filmed. And I have to admit, when I watched the trailer, there was a bit with a motorbike, and he's really giving it some with his bike, and that was one of the main reasons I went to see the film. And the bit with the motorbike is maybe 20 seconds long. This guy comes flying up on a motorbike and he bashes him off the bike with the car. Yeah, maybe a bit of a shitty reason to go and see a film, but that bit works very well.
Well, it worked.
It does work, yeah, absolutely. So you've got twists and turns, violence, not excessive over the top violence, but quite,
Plenty of it.
Plenty of it. A very good story. I love the story. Acting is fantastic. It is dubbed, so it takes me a little bit of time to really catch up with what's going on. I have to admit the subtitle in certain points was going so fast that I couldn't read it. So there was like big conversation, dubbing, and I was just like, well, what did he say? I missed that entirely. But never mind, that aside. And there is one specific scene towards the end where he basically says, fuck it, I'm going to go and take out the main guys in the family. Drives this car into what basically is a warehouse full of nasties and hits one with his car. I think I showed you this bit in the trailer. Hits this guy with the car, knocks him flying, jumps out the car, batters the shit out of a load of people. And there's one specific bit where there's a loading bay, and he hits this guy, and it's totally not meant to. I don't think it's meant to be in the film because it's not like a foreground action.
It's just something that happens.
Yeah, it's something in the background. And he hits this guy so hard, the guy goes flying backwards, hits his head off a bar, and slides onto the ground and then off this little thing. And I saw it, and I was like, whoa, that was just awesome. If I had to really compare the violence and the way that the fight scenes are put together, it would be Kill Bill plus Old Boy.
Yeah.
That's how I would describe it.
So it's like the amount of Kill Bill, but like with the more realistic thing of Old Boy.
Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely give it a 9. I have to admit, I don't know when it's coming out on DVD, but I am looking forward to it because it's going to be a Blu-ray buy, and that's a big thing for me. I'm not a massive fan of DVDs and Blu-rays anymore because it's a bit, I don't know, but Blu-ray sound and quality, it's definitely going to be there. Like, so it's a film to go and watch, or however you want to watch it. I'm sure there were suggestions about how we could watch films of this film by one of our other reviewers, but I'm not going to go into that. But all in all, definitely a 9. Yeah, definitely worth a watch. So
this has just basically been an episode of what we like, really. We have done some reviews. It's just a quick think of I've gone. Yeah. I've been sat here quiet for so long, and I don't know what I'm on about.
Well, it's been 4 films I've liked, 2 that Teg's liked, all of which you should go and see in one way or another. I would suggest Blu-ray for all of them.
Blu-ray, yeah.
I would.
I mean, you've got a lot going on in the Raid, so the detail would help massively. You've got the effects of Pacific Rim.
Absolutely. Blu-ray's the way forward for that.
Yeah, it gives you like a good sense of the scale because you've got so much detail on like the big things.
Soundtrack definitely for
Oblivion.
Yeah.
Oblivion, and because there's not a massive amount of effects that like will make you go whoa, but like it does look nice in its own way. It's got its own strange sort of like artistic feel.
Edge of Tomorrow as well.
It's like very like mechanized infantry type.
Yeah, I agree. You've got some scenes in Edge of Tomorrow which are very fast, and Blu-ray is the only way for that.
So that'll be interesting to see when it does come out, since it's only just out at the cinema. But
so next week we're going to try and do something a bit.
Yeah, next week we'll hopefully have something a bit more coherent than us blathering on about the films we like. We might actually have a theme. So
till next time, really.
Yes.